This video is sponsored by QURIK.
Alright, so we got the 393 spoilers, and the battle between Toga and Uraraka is continuing in this chapter, because in the previous we saw that it was going more in the favor of Toga, as now she was replicating some of the heroes using twice his quirk, such as Tsuyu and Jiro. And coming to the end of that chapter, Toga straight up stabbed Uraraka in the stomach, and it really wasn't looking good. And in the final page, we saw I guess this flashback of Twice talking to Toga, saying that hey, don't you want a villain name as well? Because, we haven't heard Toga's villain name yet. Or, I guess it wasn't even implied that she had one. It just went by Toga. But now, coming into this chapter, it starts with a flashback of the League. And after Twice's question, Spinner realizes that only Toga and Shigaraki don't have a villain name. She says she doesn't want one. And the others start suggesting. Spinner says, the vampire, Carmilla. And Twice says, Pikachu. Pikachu being a reference to the sound effect of Toga sucking people's blood, Chiu Chiu. I mean, I would have been more afraid of copyright problems, but I guess it's okay since it's Chiu and not Chew. Dabi says that all these suggestions are terrible, that these two names are references to things that existed before quirks appeared in this world, and that she won't be taken seriously. Compress then says that Dabi isn't much better. Dabi means cremation? What? I never knew that. How does Dabi mean cremation? So I did a quick Google search, guys, and apparently in Buddhism, the Buddhist cremation is called Dabi, and it's recognized as an Indian Buddhist practice. So yeah, I've been following my hero and covering it for almost 5 years at this point, and I never knew that. Shigaraki says that in the old days, there was not a clear distinction between heroes and villains, and that a theory says that your hero/villain used to be given to you by your enemy. Some say that after that, people started to come up with their own secret identities. Well, I guess that's not the case with All For One. I don't know if he came up with it on his own or people started calling him it. I would assume that he came up with it on his own though, maybe. But considering that Shigaraki is saying this, maybe he was told that by All For One or Yujiko, since he's talking about the old days, and All For One is his mentor, who is coming from the old days. So I don't know, maybe they did. People started to hide a part of themselves and embrace this comic book idea of having a double identity, and many theories say that the hero and villain names were the main reason why the world today is so much like comics. But Shigaraki says that he doesn't need one. Toga is fascinated by this explanation and says that this is why she joined the League, because she wanted to help create a world that's easier to live in. So she decides to continue living as Himiko Toga without any other name. So yeah, I kind of like it. I respect it. And I don't know, I never really thought about it too much that Shigaraki and Toga didn't have villain names. I thought it was just fitting that they had their own names. I mean, if you really want to think about it, Tomura Shigaraki could be his villain name because it's not really his name. It was a title given to him by All For One. His real name is Tenko Shimura. Apparently Shigaraki is what All For One's real surname is. We don't know his full name yet. Maybe we never will. I don't know. But yeah, I guess you could just look at it that way. But as for Toga, that's Himiko Toga. That's her straight up real name. But I like it.
But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, QURIK. QURIK is a monthly authentic Japanese snack subscription box. QURIK is also supporting local Japanese snack makers, because each box comes with 20 traditional, authentic, and artisan Japanese snacks, including Japanese tea and a special Japanese tableware. This month is the patchwork furoshiki. Furoshiki is a traditional Japanese wrapping cloth. It doubles as a stylish handkerchief, fashionable bandana, or a versatile bento box wrap. It also comes with this awesome booklet that gives you information on all of the snacks in the box, as well as information about Japan and its culture. This month's box is Heritage of Nikko. QURIK partnered with the Nikko local government and makers to offer traditional treats and tea reflecting Nikko's rich heritage. Enjoy Hinohikari Senbai, Nikko Rush, and 88th Night Shinsha tea. First, we always have to try the tea that we get with QURIK because it also pairs with everything in the box. And this month it's the 88th Night Shinsha, and as always it has such a great full body flavor to it. I first tried it with the sesame anko donuts, and these are incredible. It's soft on the outside, it's chewy on the inside, and the flavor is really unique to Japan. And speaking of unique to Japan, next I tried the salt and pepper yuba chips. The texture is so interesting and crunchy, and it also has a really savory flavor to it. I also had to try this kuzukiri. It's a summer delicacy, and and this was so good. It has this really unique, rich black honey flavor, and the texture is so smooth and chewy. So if you'd like to get your very own artisan Japanese snack box from Sakuriko every month, check out the link in the description and make sure you use my code Zhoniin. That way you'll get $5 off your purchase. Thanks, guys.
Cut back to the present, and Ochako has just been stabbed, but she still manages to say that she's not trying to pity Toga. She touches her and activates zero gravity, and Toga steps back but thinks to herself that being floating right now doesn't bring any risk to her. Toga then says that Uraraka is saying nice things now, but that later she will lock her in a cage and give her the death penalty. Or even worse, she'll just kill her right there like they did with Twice. It's all about winning or losing, living or dying. So I don't know if she's gonna get the death penalty. I mean, she hasn't really been doing that many heinous crimes. I mean, yeah, she's killed some people, but the death penalty, you know, maybe she would. I don't know. I don't even know what you need to do to get the death penalty. I guess murder is the prerequisite. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh, and also her saying, you know, worse, just kill her right there and then like they did before. That's, of course, in reference to Hawks killing Twice, and he more so had to do that because Twice was too much of a battle asset, or too much of a battle liability, because, you know, with the prospect of him replicating the high-end Nomus or Shigaraki or Dabi or whatever, like they needed to take him out. It wasn't so much about him being a bad person or a heinous villain. Uraraka says that Toga is just repeating what's considered common sense, but Toga interrupts and says that if Ochako's feeling is not pity, it can only be egoism. She uses a new move, Dead Man's Legion, gathering multiple clones of several different people. We see multiple panels of the heroes being attacked by the clones, and the reporter girl in the helicopter is saying that the QURIK Doomsday theory is coming true right now. The world is about to change by the feelings of a single girl. Man, if that's really what's going on here, and that's how Horikoshi decides to have a cop-out for that, it's kind of disappointing. I mean, the QURIK's Doomsday theory is not coming true right now, because the implications of it are way more grand and crazier than this. Like, it would essentially be like, you know, a bunch of Ares or whatever, but on a city-level scale, like rewinding everything at once, or a bunch of kids with quirks that are just so powerful they're all like self-destructing and imploding on everything. Yeah, this is one isolated incident of it, because Toga's quirk is pretty busted, especially the way that she's using it in conjunction with Twice's quirk, which is of course one of the most busted quirks in the series. But the QURIK Doomsday theory, the QURIK Singularity theory, more so implies that one person would just have the ability to do all of this and not have to jump through all the hoops and have the combo effect that Toga has with Twice. I mean, yeah, you can just say it's happening now, but man, if this is just how Horikoshi is like, yeah, well, you know what, it actually happened, guys, and now that we, you know, once we take care of it, that's going to be the end of it, and we settled it, you know, it won't be a thing anymore, which is also not true, because even if the heroes do win here, which, you know, most likely they will, I mean, there's a chance they won't, of course, but most likely they will, it's not like the QURIK Singularity is just going to end. Like, it's still going to happen inevitably, at least in theory. You have to remember, it's just a theory. It doesn't mean it's guaranteed to happen, just like the heroes winning, but I just hope it's addressed in some satisfying way. But now I'm really worried that it won't. Even though it's only kind of been building up in the background right now. I don't really think casuals really care that much about it, or even really are aware of it all too much. Toga sends a wave of clones at Ochako, but she manages to defend herself with gunhead martial arts. Toga says that just making them float is useless, and Ochako replies that her quirk is not meant to hurt other people. Toga remembers what Uraraka said about Curace's death. Uraraka is still bleeding and screaming in pain, and she admits that maybe she's being egotistic, and that she can't pretend that Toga never did anything wrong. But when she looks at her, she now understands that many circumstances must have led her to be the way that she is today. And this is why Toga was crying during the previous war. Toga gets even angrier, saying that the tears were Uraraka's fault, and that she agrees, but says that it just wasn't that. The first time they met in the forest, Ochako was afraid because she couldn't understand her. But even during the forest fight, Toga still managed to smile in such a pure way, and Toga tells her to shut up and starts reminiscing about Twice, with him saying that her not choosing a villain name was a great choice, and that she should live the way that she wants to. Uraraka says that she has already pushed Toga away once, and that she knows that this world is not ideal for people like her, but that she admires the fact that Toga can talk openly about the things and people she loves. At this moment, she thinks about Deku. Ooh. I think most of us level-headed people, I'll say, already knew that this was a thing for sure, and that it's going to be a thing. I mean, just put all the other ships in this series or in the fandom to the side. This is for sure the main one that is going to come to fruition in one way or another. The two are drawn like little kids, and Uraraka says that Toga's smile is so beautiful that even makes her wish hers could be like that. Toga remembers her parents saying that she looked like a deviant, and then Uraraka says, I can't pretend I didn't see you smiling. So yeah, of course, this is supposed to mirror the relationship between Izuku and Shigaraki, or Izuku and Tenko more so. They were both depicted as children in their encounters before, or just in a vision, I suppose you could say. But as where Uraraka is saying, I can't pretend I didn't see you smiling, Izuku, couldn't pretend that he couldn't hear him calling out for someone to save him, essentially, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. It just goes back to the fact that these villains are kind of inherently innocent for sure. Toga and Shigaraki definitely, less so than Dabi, but I would say that Shigaraki is absolutely the most innocent inherently, considering that he didn't ask for any of this. Toga at least acted on her urges, which of course she didn't ask to be born with this quirk, but everything that fell on Tenko was nothing that had to do with him. He was just a victim of many circumstances. By the way, that still has to be revealed that All For One gave him the decay quirk. I wonder if that will ever be revealed, or Horikoshi is just leaving it for the hardcore fans to just look back and be like, oh hey, look at that Easter egg. The two are crying and Uraraka's fingers start to glow as lightning bolts come out of them. These bolts then spread across the battlefield and create an aura, causing the clones to float. Jiro realizes that zero gravity is spreading without Ochako touching the targets. Whoa, is this like Uraraka's quirk awakening? Ochako says that she won't ignore Toga's past crimes and that she won't necessarily support everything she does from now on, but if Toga still wants to talk to her, she's willing to give her own blood for the rest of her life. I want to talk about love with you, Himiko-chan. Ochako reaches her hand full of blood towards Toga, and in the last panel of the chapter, we see the two as kids once again, with Ochako offering her hand so little Toga can drink her blood and stop crying. That's kind of problematic, I know, but it's also kind of cute if you understand the context of things here. But yeah, it's battle manga, guys. I'm sure it'll be better in the anime, or they'll make it less weird in the anime, but yeah, pretty interesting and thrilling sequence at the end here. Very emotional as well. Also fascinating what Ochako's doing here. Like, I guess this is her quirk awakening. I mean, it kind of has to happen sooner or later. We are coming into the very end of the series here, so she has to have her moment where, as it says, lightning bolts start to come out of her fingers and they spread across the battlefield and create an aura, and we see them tag all of these Twice here, and she can just make this, unless I'm like missing something here. I probably am missing something and I sound like an idiot, sorry guys, but if this isn't her quirk awakening and I missed something that happened in the previous chapter that she's doing here, forgive me, but regardless, she is able to spread her zero gravity quirk without having to make physical contact with the other Twices, so that's at least somewhat of an awakening. But let me know what you think about this chapter in the comments, guys. I think the next chapter, or at least the first half of it, is going to be the ending of Toga versus Uraraka. Let me know how you think it's going to end, and let me know if you liked this battle and this chapter. Let me know what you think about the quirk singularity. Have a great day, guys. See you in the next one.